Good evening from the newsroom. The news summary for this Monday, the 11th of September. Police officers who are involved in counter-narcotics operations and other organized crimes in 4 countries of the Indian Ocean, including Seychelles, are attending a 1-week advanced counter-narcotics training, which is taking place at the Eden Bleu Hotel. The training is being conducted by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, which also provides training in undercover and surveillance techniques. Besides Seychelles officers, there are participants from Mauritius, Madagascar, and the Comoros. The workshop was launched by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Errol Fonseca, in the presence of other senior government officers, the Commissioner of Police, and representatives of the U.S. government, amongst others.
Geography has placed Seychelles in the center of the Indian Ocean, with numerous little islands dotted around, ideal for any use by organized crime and what have you. So there's potential for invisible maritime security threat is placed there on our doorstep. And I doubt if this will ever change. Whilst we have 2 main entry points into Seychelles, into Mahe, it allows a lot of staging posts for the organized criminals to make use of there. And the size of our maritime space is such that we probably will never get to a point where we can actually dominate that area as much as we'd like to. With the help that is will be happening this week especially, all this comes into gear for us to tackle this ever-changing, changing for the worse in terms of the offerings that the drug people come up with, the slickness of their supply chain, the ability to change and adapt to different circumstances, and capitalize on our, for instance, in Seychelles, we're a country where we do not have currency control. We have a reporting structure which we have to use, but there's no currency control in Seychelles, which we're quite proud of that. So all these things makes it ideal for the organized crime to make use of. So we've got a big task on our hands.
3 people died and 6 were hospitalized in the intensive care in Réunion after using drugs. According to the first investigations carried out, it would be synthetic opiates 500 times more powerful than heroin.
Synthetic opiates are substances that are synthesized in a laboratory and that act on the same targets in the brain as natural opioids to produce pain relief effects. 13 poisonings have been recorded since the end of June 2023 in Réunion among people aged from 21 to 46 years. The Regional Health Agency, ARS, Réunion, was alerted by its vigilance system of the circulation of these substances. Among the symptoms experienced, some of the patients specified that the intoxication began after 2 puffs of the substance, sudden asphyxia, meaning lack of oxygen to the brain, then the person is unable to breathe. The ARS recommends the greatest caution in the event of consumption of narcotics, in particular tobacco-based. If you are a smoker, never accept a cigarette or other product from which you do not know the source.
Member countries of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, OACPS, are taking part in a 3-day forum on climate services and related application programs to share best practices and explore possible solutions for climate action. The forum is taking place at the Kempinski Hotel at Belazar. This is the 3rd time such a forum is organized since it started in November 2021 in Nairobi, Kenya. The forum is particularly important for countries in the Western Indian Ocean, as it is the 3rd region in the world which is more exposed to risk and disasters associated with climate change, such as cyclones, droughts, coral bleaching, amongst others. When officially opening the forum, the minister responsible for environment, Flavien Joubert, said he hoped countries would derive concrete benefits from this interactive session.
As climate impacts intensify across the continent, the Africa Climate Week emphasized the urgent need for swift and coordinated action to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Seychelles, as chair of the Africa Island States Climate Commission, emphasized the vital role of climate finance in unlocking Africa's green energy potential and fostering climate-resilient development, together with African leaders advocating for a substantial boost in investment, global infrastructure reforms, and greater support for vulnerable countries to address climate challenges effectively and efficiently. In concluding, despite being a small island developing state, Seychelles' commitment to a better OACPS region and a more resilient future for our people remains strong. We firmly believe that the people of this region can be innovative and provide solutions to many of our challenges. The success of CLIMSA 23 would mean success to us all, and it would also mean a win for climate action. Let us join together and make our continent and our island states a shining example of the way African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries can work together and achieve success.
Alongside the recent African Climate Summit held in Nairobi, Kenya last week, the Minister responsible for climate change and environment, Flavien Joubert, and the CEO of CECAT, Marie-May Jeremy, were on set at Kenya's television station KBC. They were interviewed on Seychelles' spearheading of conservation actions towards protecting seagrass beds and mangrove forests.
The current project, the seagrass mapping and carbon assessment project, we are in a next phase now in terms of, now that we have the science, how do we socialize that? And as part of the support that CECAT is going to be offering to government is helping to develop the blue carbon policy. And also then taking the figures that we have in going towards the implementation of the subsequent commitments that Seychelles have already made under its NDC. So that will be work ongoing. And again, we will be looking how to go back to the local community and making sure that, there is that assimilation of the outputs that have come out of the project, because they were engaged a lot during the project implementation. So you want to make sure that there is the continuous engagement of the local communities to make sure that this is something that has long-term impact in the legacy. And for us, that is the next step. And there will always be other things now when we move towards protection. So now we know what we have and we're saying we're going to protect. So what is protection going to look like for Seychelles? And this is where CECAT wants to be supporting government through this project and beyond.
How would we support in the long term those efforts? We have to find the right mechanism and the right tools to support those efforts. It is not cheap to try and fully manage 1.3 million square kilometers of EZ. So it's a question of resources, and we have to find the right mechanisms to make sure that finances and resources flow towards those measures that we are already setting up. The second thing, I think, is to make sure that those measures that are in place now and that will be put in place during the coming years actually yield benefits for the country and for the people of the country. So it is important for us to find the right mechanisms, innovate, create opportunities, create the right level of engagement with the population and with all the different parties involved, so they actually see the benefit and see the value in carrying forward in the long term those measures.
The Civil Aviation Authority, SCA, gathered organizations involved in airport operations in a symposium to kick off activities for the celebration of African Airport Safety Week. Interaction during the symposium focused on the experiences of those companies regarding the safety performance of their respective businesses, namely Air Seychelles, Zile, and IDC, amongst others. African Airport Security Week is held annually during the month of September, and this year's theme is Safety is Our Priority, Let Us Prove It. Sky Chef's Chief Executive, Véronique Laporte, who was a speaker at the symposium, stated that education, practice, and discipline are key to maintaining safety within an organization. This was the news summary. We'll be back at 8 with the news in Creole. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.